What's up, fellow trainers? So we are back for more Arceus, Dialga and Palkia. Now what? So this is a quick review of the previous episode. We divided this series into popularity, results, Gatekeeper, author creation, clock, so a couple of parts. Most popular decks during Unbroken Bonds era. Just seeing now the amount of variance that Zorok had, comparing with ADP. 14 versus 6 variants. Best Rebel Clash decks. Main cards from Rebel Clash. Giovanni, Bolton V, Speed Lightning Energy, Jirachi Prism, Zigzagoon, Melolana and Horror Psychic Energy paired with Dragon Pulse. And a quick mention about Mewtwo. So let's go for the next video. So our next video is why ADP is a gatekeeper and a marinering card. So why ADP is a gatekeeper and marinering? Before ADP we sure had Malamar as a gatekeeper card, but it had a bunch of counterplays to it, right? It was a deck that was tried to go really fast, and so you could milling strategies with favorite against it. You could use spread strategies against it to hit a lot of Malamars in a single turn. So it's nothing compared to ADP, right? And then the creation trio as our brand new Gatekeeper Marinering card. So what is a Gatekeeper deck, right? It's a leveling deck. It's a deck that filters the meta, and it prevents a lot of strategies of thriving. Okay, a generally popular deck that filters out other decks' access to tournament stocks. In short, and if your deck cannot make it through the Gatekeeper, you will not be able to qualify for the next steps. Day 2, top 64, and so forth. So why did ADP become a Gatekeeper? First off, it's super busted GX attack. High alter creation. For the rest of the game, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance, but this is negligible. If this Pokemon has at least one extra water energy attached to it, in addition to this attack's cost, when your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from those attacks, take one more prize card. So present and past cards that this a similar interaction with the prize cards that drill more prize cards after the attack or after some condition being fulfilled. Alright, so our first one, this legend card, Rayquaza and the Arceus legend, right? It was two cards that you could combine into one and use it like a basic Pokemon, right? If you have both cards in your hand, you could bench it. So if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from the attack of Rayquaza and the Arceus legend, take one more prize card. And a huge attack by this time, 150, and discarding all fire energy. So the Plasma Lugia EX with its overflow ability. So the same as Rayquaza and the Arceus, right? But the attack has a huge drawback. You only dealt damage, 120 damage, if you discarded Plasma Energy. Otherwise, it would do nothing. So yeah, and you could combine it with Chorus Machine, right? To search for a Plasma Energy and attach one of your same Plasma, obvious Lugia EX. So this number EX had literally no play at all, but had this end game attack that it could take 2 more prizes if it knocked out a Mega Evolution Pokemon. Greedy Dice, really no play. You had to draw it from your prizes, and it was a coin flip card. So yeah, really hard to use. Whimsicott, more recent, Guardians Rising, so literally no play. It gambled on the fact that your defending opponent's Pokemon was not retreated or switched back to the bench, so it was not a permanent effect. So yeah, literally no play. Kartana GX with its alternate art, the shiny one from Hidden Fates, with its Blade GX attack, right? You literally just take a prize card. Missing Clover, a similar mechanic to Puzzle Time. You could play one card and look at the top of card of your deck, and if you play 4 cards at the same time, you take a prize card. So very hard to use card, was released by Ultra Prism. You could couple it with Oranguru Research Management that was released in the same expansion and try to do something with it, alright? Like with Cartana, GX, try to cheese prizes by doing this. So there, Puzzle of Time. Girachi Prism, more recent one that just rotated, sad face. It was released by Celestial Storm. So the ability. Wish upon a star if you took this Pokemon as a face down prize card during your turn and your bench isn't full, before you put it into your hand, you would put it onto your bench and take one more prize card. So you couple with Mr. Mime and Scoop Up Net, so you could use it a couple times during the matchup, right? You had to Scoop Up Net on both Mr. Mime and Jirachi to use both these Pokemon again. So it's nothing compared to ADP GX attack that it's for the rest of the game, right? Just one time you have to GX attack and then you're all set. But for Girachi Prism and Mr. Mime, you had to find your Scoop Up Nets, and you had to have a spot on the bench to bench both these Pokemon. To bench first Mr. Mime, switch Jirachi with the top card of the deck, and one more for your prize cards. And then you knew where Jirachi was, and when you drilled, you could activate the ability if you had a free spot on your bench. So yeah, nothing compared to ADP Alter Creation GX, right? Which was a fun card, very cool card. Then Blacephalon GX, similar to Cartana GX, you have Bird GX, you didn't drill, but you discard one of your prize cards, so it's one prize card less for you to draw to win the game. So similar to Katana. A legal one we have still Pheromones and Oswald GX with its Beast Game. So if you KO a card with this attack, you take one more prize card, but it's 50 damage. So literally almost no damage. You could pair it with Beast Energy, but it's rotated because it's from Forbidden Light, and if you have 7 extra energy, you draw 3 more prize cards. So yeah, 8 energy to draw 4 prize cards on a single prize Pokemon, or 5 prizes on a 2 prize Pokemon, or all the 6 prizes on a tag team Pokemon. But pretty hard to use, right? 8 energy on a tag team GX, very hard. Next one is Naganadel and Guzzlord with its chaotic order. So turn all of your prize cards face up and for single colors, right? And for extra psychic and an extra dark energy, you take 2 prize cards from those you faced up. So it's 3 energy to draw 2 prize cards. Guzzlord, Baby Guzzlord, our last one, with its red banquet, dealing 120 and taking one more prize card, but for 4 energy, right? Being 2 dark and 2 colorless. Not the easiest thing to do on a match. And just 120 damage. It's not like Zacian that deals 260, right? So, why did ADP become a gatekeeper? Why did ADP become a gatekeeper? So this is one of the main reasons, and this is the second one, literally. And the fact that it doesn't have a good weakness. It's just fairy, and like we are going to see on the next video or on the next moment, fairy weakness is not a good thing with the cards we have in our disposal. So yeah, so Break Blade 230, you added the GX attack effect that boosts all your attackers by 30 damage, and you have 260. Now 260, you add a Vitality Band, and then you are up to 270. If you want to further boost this damage, you can then use the couple Zigzagoon Scoop Up Nets for maximum 50 extra damage, and then you have 320. But we all know this doesn't happen mainly on our current standard lists because it's not necessary, literally. The reality on average is just 270 or just 260, like on most lists, because you have just to take 2 KOs to win the game on a 2 prizer, on a Dene or a Crobat that is sitting there like a sitting duck, Like, or even another Zacian. Sometimes Zacian is a support draw Pokemon, right? So what survives to 70 up to 90 damage? Some tag team Pokemon with tools. So these are the ones, the main ones. Mewtwo with the big charm and ADP as well. Lucario Melmetal with its metal goggles and after full metal wall GX. And our beloved Magikarp and Wailord with 300 HP. So what else? All VMAX Pokemon released so far. So these are the main ones in the current meta. Dragapult, Saliscore, Charternatus, and Inteleon. So some honorable mentions stands for single prizer that survives to 70 up to 90. So Blastoise GX, Flygon GX, Caracosta GX, Copperajah V, Stunfisk V, Galarian Stunfisk V I should say, Whimsicott GX, if you flip heads, right? And Zacian V and Zamazenta V. So Blastoise with one big charm and with its ability that reduces minus 30 damage of attacks, it goes up to 300 HP. Flygon GX, mostly the same thing. Caracosta, its ability says if you have full HP, it reduces damage by 90. So with buff padding, you could go up to 390 HP on the first hit if a Zigzagoon doesn't happen. So if a Zigzagoon does happen, you are then reduced to 290 HP. Copperajah V with Cap of Toughness and Full Metal Wall goes up to 300 HP. Zacian V, same thing, and Zamazenta V, 310. Stunfisk V, same thing, but with 3 metal energies because of its ability, reduce 60 damage, and plus 50, you are up to 310. Or you could just use 1 energy and the Cape of Toughness, and a full metal wall GX, yeah, right. So minus 30 and minus 20 because of the ability, you are minus 50, so yeah. And Whimsicott GX with its coin flip ability. So if you're very lucky in the coin flip, you survive. So what doesn't survive to 70 to 90 damage? Almost all our V Pokemon, right? There are no VMAX. Yeah. So Meowth has a VMAX version. All these pre-evolution VMAX Pokemon do not survive. So a lot of GX Pokemon that are not tag team GX, like Persian, like Silvally, like Latios, this is stage 1. And these stage 2 Pokemon that I think they should survive the biggest hit on the meta, but our meta is all big basics now, almost all big basics. And surprisingly enough, a couple of tag team GX do not survive to 70 or even to 60, like Pheromosa, like Gengar, Pikarom, Guardian, obviously, even with a weak card energy. So how do we defeat ADPization? Knockout options. We have like, I think I mapped like 5 KO options. So ADP plus Zacian and Sia being like Zacian and Zamazenta, Dandanik, Crobat, Eldegoss. So 3 KOs. ADP plus Zacian again, 7 prizes, 3 KOs. Zacian, Jirachi, 6 prizes, but 4 KOs. ADP plus ADP, 6 prizes, very unlikely, 2 KOs. Zacian, 3 Zacian, 6 prizes, 3 KOs. So the one that is most common obviously is ADP, Zacian, right? 7 prizes, game. On 80% of the possible scenarios, we have to practice 3 KOs or even more, like the single third option there. So 3 KOs, we have to perform 3 KOs to defeat an ADPization. So that's why having a big HP, it's such a crucial aspect of any card trying to win against ADP, right? To win the prize race. On the first scenario, you start the game and you are a double prize attacker. I did a brief schematics, a diagram of the turns that are played, and you have ADP on top and your actions right below it, right? So if you start the game Then you go energy attach, and ADP goes energy attach, and then it's the end of the first turn. Then you have the second turn, and you go energy and do the first attack. And then ADP go energy and auto creation checks, and then it's the end of the turn 2. Then you go energy and do your second attack, and luckily enough, you get a KO. And you get 3 prizes. But then ADP goes saucer or turbo patch, right? Metal saucer, turbo patch, a couple of times, energy attachment, retreat, 270 damage, and KOs all your double prize attacker options that I show on the previous slides, right? And then go 3 prizes, and then in the end of the turn 3. And then if you try to attack with anything that is not a single prize attacker, by this point you lose the game, right? 6 prizes. So with 1 prize decks, 1 prize, single prize attackers, right? This is the second scenario, the second kind of matchup that ADP can have that we are covering on this video, right? I'm not going to be covering the tag team or VMAX because obviously they have a shot against ADP, right? Because they can survive, right? Here, when they get the first KO, and after that with the third attack they can survive, right? ADP does not get with 270 the second KO and get 6 or even 7 prizes, right? So they have a shot, but obviously ADP can gust, can use a boss's order to get a Dedenne or a Crobat or another Zation. So scenario 2, you start the game with single prize attackers. So energy attachment for the ADP, end of turn 1. You do the first attack, and then ADP goes out on creation, end of turn 2. And then energy second attack. On this particular scenario, I'm showing that you fail, that you don't get the KO after auto creation. So because I'm showing why KOing right after is so mandatory and so obligatory for single prize attackers. So if you don't, right after auto creation, then ADP go energy, ultimate ray, and KO it for 2 prizes. And then you go the third attack, and now you get a KO. You draw 3 prizes, but ADP, just with the ultimate ray, it reload Azation and goes to 70 KO, 4 prizes. So you go for your 4th attack of the game with your energy attachment, KO, you get 5 prizes. Then ADP just goes saucer, turbo patch, and with metal, retreat, boom, 6 prizes. So this is a comparison between the Unbroken Bonds meta on our last year between May and September, right, of 2019. And then we have our current meta, I should say our last format before rotation hits. So you can identify a couple of things there. So single prizers are almost dead, right? You can see Mad Body trying to get a couple of points there, next to Drew because of Retornados, and because of Pickerel mainly, and Vicavolt. Baby Blacephalon is the only single prize attacker that survives, and Mag Cargo Mill, but now we have lost Beloved Bryson, right? It was banned. We had Beloved Bryson banned for our 2021 season. So yeah, the meta is mostly tag team and VMAXs and Blacephalon, Baby Blacephalon, and a couple of the CGY or Obstagoon trying to block big basics, right? Or block VMAXs and GXs. So we have like a couple of single prize attackers that actually win against ADP. So the first one we have is Baby Blacephalon. So why does he win against ADP? Well, it's the first rule we announced back there, right? A single prize attacker have to KO ADP right after auto creation GX, or before it would even be better. So if you go first, Baby Blacephalon actually has the potential to one-hit KO an ADP. dealing more than 300 damage. 310 damage because of the big charm. So yeah, there. Energy, then you go energy first attack, but you don't KO it. Then he goes GX attack, and then you KO it with the second attack of the game. It's not a non-ordinary thing that happens with Blacephalon. Blacephalon can actually do it. Now we lost Fire Flint with rotation, but we still can do it with Jirachi and Energy Spinner and Fire Heart and Fire Crystal and so forth. So if you go second, they go energy, you go energy first attack, but you don't KO it. They go energy, and then you do KO it when your second attack of the game. So Obstagoon can win against ADP for sure. If you just set up one and keep attacking, keep obstructing, you can win the game. So the main problem, Mawai GX, because of its ability. So you just put a single goon up there, and they just go after you take your first like KO on an ADP. You draw 3 prizes, and they hopefully bench a Mawile. They hopefully make you bench one of the Pokemon you drew from your prizes. Like, it's one thing you cannot control. We don't have town map in this format, so it's not possible to control what prizes you are drawing at a specific time. So the Decidueye, with its Deep Forest Camo ability, prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon V and GX. Like Pokemon V here are VMAXs as well. So one of the main problems, the Duraludon. 140 after auto-creation, and it has resistance, so it makes a 3-hit KO. You have to hit 3 times with the Decidueye in order to KO Duraludon. And if you hit 3 times with the Decidueye and they hit you back with 140, you lost, right? If you don't have like big charm like I'm showing down there, it's the counter of Duraludon, it's the counter's counter. You don't survive 1 hit of Duraludon, and so you lose. Or you can pair the Decidueye with an Obstagoon, right? Because ADP is such a bad matchup because of the single attach that they can use, right? Mainly because only Duraludon, right? So you can use Obstagoon pair with the Decidueye to try and cheese this match. So Excadrill control option, right? With the Hodl Tiger attack, differently to Oranguru Resource Management. This time we have a colored attack and a non-basic attacker, right? The problem is always consistency, trying to set up 2 stage 1 and not losing the prize race before you deck them out, right? Or before you control the board. So what is Ultra Creation?